right? I know this is the NAS call, but it's kind of hard to find a setup now because it's already run so many pips, over 900 pips, right? If you've been plugged in with us on the Zoom calls, right? We've been doing Zoom calls every Wednesday at the same time, but now we're doing it on YouTube. If you've been plugged in with us, then you know that if you were on those calls, you should be in these trades. NAS is still running, right? NAS is still running after we broke all-time highs at the beginning of the year, right? This was all-time highs right here, right? We broke it up at the beginning of the year, right? And we broke above that, and prices has not come back since, right? Over 3,800 pips. It's been flying, right? And it's beautiful price action. I know people want to sell it, and it has to come down allegedly, but hey, I'm just gonna keep following the structure, and if it keeps giving me, the buy setup, I'm gonna take it. What I love to see a nice reversal, so we get a better entry, of course, because if you go back here and look when the pandemic happened, right? This was the pandemic. Price was, bullish for a while, right? Price was bullish for a while, and then when that happened, we did get a massive drop, down to the 78.6, and then price has not come back ever since. Right now, we're here doing the same thing, similar, but I mean, there's no crazy world event happening, anything like that. So it hasn't really retraced nowhere near the 50%, right? And this isn't even a valid Fibonacci, because in order for this to be valid, price has to retrace at least back down to the 236, right? So this is technically not even a valid Fibonacci, which is fine, right? It's just fine. Just keep looking for the setups. And for those of you who are new, if it's your first time on the call, welcome, right? If it's your first time ever seeing me live, welcome again. But I am gonna explain to you guys how we enter and exit the markets, right? Because for most people, they trade based off their feelings and their emotions, and they think that it's gonna do this, and they feel like it's gonna move that, and it has to come down. Like, they say all these words that don't have any concrete evidence to back them, right? I'm a very logical, straightforward, black and white type of person. I need to see concrete evidence for me to understand and believe that this is a valid trade. And that's why I'm so grateful for the skill set, because it took me 4 years to learn this. There's a lot of noise out there. There's a lot of strategies out there, but none of them really give you confidence and concrete evidence that you need to enter the trade. So this is how we enter the market. Let's say, for instance, the price is, it's uptrending. We're trading a bullish asset that's been bullish for 20, 30, 40, 50 years, right? It's uptrending, and then all of a sudden price starts to consolidate, right? Or build liquidity, right? It starts to do this. This is when people get scared and there's emotional damage. They don't know what's going on. But this is my favorite part, because I know something's about to happen. And let's say after all this consolidation, let's say it's been days or weeks, right? And then we all of a sudden we sweep the lows, right? We sweep these lows, or we sweep the support, and then we break up the highs and continue in the overall uptrend direction, right? That lets me know that price wants to continue, right? Because we broke above, these highs, right? And when I say these highs, I'm looking for the highest high out of all this consolidation, and then we broke beneath the lows, or we swept the lows as well. So I'm looking for the lowest low of the whole consolidation, and the stop loss will be that wick, or that manipulation that swept all that liquidity, right? So when that happens, I'm looking for trades right there, right? I'm looking for, here's my long position tool, anywhere from the highs that were swept to the stop loss. Right. So once that happens, I'm looking, that's my setup. Set a buy limit. Of course, you want a 1 to 3, right? The reason why I say buy limit is because I don't know if I'm gonna be behind the computer at that time. I may be out busy running errands, taking care of business. I'll set an alarm and everything, but I don't know if I'll be able to market execute. So I at least want to have a buy limit right in there. So because when price comes back down, it may just hit the top of the zone and take off, right? When it comes to structure, price can respect the break and retest or the change of character. It can hit the top of the zone and go take off with no drawdown. It can hit somewhere in the middle or a little bit lower, anywhere from the top all the way to the stop loss. Because I guarantee you, once you do zoom in, what's good? What's good, Fernando? Josue, what's up? What's up? Glad to have y'all on the call, right? But once price does get into the zone, and when you zoom into smaller time frames, you're going to be able to find, order blocks, imbalances, starting points. You're going to be able to find a lot more detail inside if you really want that super, super sniper accurate reading. Me personally, I just don't have time to do that. So I'm just going to use the whole zone and just under leverage my trade so I don't have to worry about it, right? I don't have to worry about it. I don't have to stress about it. It's in there, right? And there's one more secret sauce. Let's say price is downtrending. Let's say price is downtrending for months, for weeks, right? Like kind of like how Bitcoin was going, right? It's downtrending, you're selling, you're making money, right? And then all of a sudden it starts to consolidate, do its thing, right? We sweep the lows and we break above the highs, right? Now we've changed character, direction, because for a downtrend to be a true downtrend, we have to create lower lows and lower highs, lower lows and lower highs, lower lows and low. That right there is a definition of a downtrend. When all of a sudden we have a lower low and we don't create a lower high, but we create a higher higher instead, now we're changing from a downtrend to an uptrend. Your first indication that price wants to reverse. People say, "Oh, we can't call the top, you can't call the bottom." You can. This is how you do it right here, right? And again, it's going to be the same markup, right? We mark up the lows, we mark up the highs, right? If you back test this on any pair, on any stock, on any crypto, you're going over, right? And it will be the same thing, right? So that's essentially what happened for Bitcoin. That's essentially what happened, right? I'm just going to show you some examples. I know the market opens here in the next like 18 minutes. I'm just going to give you guys, especially for all the new people, I'm just going to give you guys some information. These calls with me in the future, you're going to know why and how we do things. You're not going to be confused. You're not going to be, scratching your head, right? So for instance, now trending higher highs, higher lows, higher highs, higher lows, higher highs, higher lows, higher high. But instead of continuing the uptrend and making a higher low to continue, it made a lower low, right? We swept previous lows. So now we're switching from an uptrend to a downtrend. And that's when price came back into the zone and sold off, right? But we have to understand that yes, we did switch uptrend to a downtrend, but when you zoom out more and look at the whole entire chart, we see that overall it's uptrending. Despite the reversals, it's still been uptrending since before we were all born, right? So we have to understand that price, even though it can sell off, and it will, because it can't go up forever, right? You still have to be looking at the next possible buy zone, because towards these areas, especially on the daily time frame, right, you were able to see that price reversed from making lower lows and lower highs, right? Lower lows, lower highs, lower lows, lower highs, lower low, equal high, equal lows, and then boom, we broke above and made a higher low. Once that happened, you want to mark up your whole zone, right? And price did its came back right into the zone. Stop loss would have been this wick, and then it just took off, right? Price has not come back ever since, right? And this is the so-called bottom of that drop off, right? And price has flown, exponentially ever since then. Just from basic market structure, I'm not doing anything crazy. I wasn't going based off of feeling that I have or some intuition. No, I'm going purely off of the structure of the market, right? Purely off of the structure of the market. And this happens over and over, right? This happens over and over. It's phenomenal. I love it, right? Let me actually just delete this without even using the Fibonacci, right? Let's use market structure. Again, this whole drop is the pandemic. And again, ladies and gentlemen, if you guys have any questions, comments, concerns during the process, go ahead and let me know. Ask questions, type it in the chat. I'll be answering all questions as well. But price had, the setup right here, right? The consolidation, the liquidity, we swept it, and then we broke above, right? So if you were to mark up, those highs and lows, right? That's the high that was broken above. These are the lows right here that were swept, right? Stop loss would have been right here at the wick. We notice and we see that after we broke above these highs, right? Price, we swept the lows and then we broke above these highs right here. We came back for a retest, break and retest. There's an order block right there as well, or a starting point, and then price flew. And it came all the way back down during the pandemic, came back into the same zone, and then has not come back ever since. Boom. Concrete evidence. Concrete evidence, right? And now that's all we use to enter and exit trades. I don't make it I don't make it hard. I don't make it complicated, right? If you can't explain trading to a fifth grader, then you should be able to. Like anything you do in life, no matter how hard it is, you should be able to explain it to a fifth grader. If you can't, then you need to make it more simple. It's just way too complicated. It's not duplicatable, right? Can you duplicate what you've learned? But since NAS has already run so much, it's so far so gone. I can find more setups for us to enter, but I'd rather look at something that's in a better buy position, right? Let's check on US 30 as well, right? Let's check on this. US 30 is also to me in a better buy scenario as well, but I want to wait for some liquidity to be swept. Right? All this is just liquidity to me. We did get the change of character, right? We did break above these highs here, creating a higher high. So that right there means that price does want to continue moving in a bullish direction. So I believe price is going to fly and make new highs. That's my opinion, right? And again, like if you zoom out, we see that this asset has been bullish forever as well, right? We broke above the highs. It's just been flying ever since. Not as much as NAS, but it's definitely up there. It's definitely up there, right? But right now, Bitcoin is been on my mind a lot. Right? I like Bitcoin. I like Bitcoin. I know you guys like Bitcoin in here as well. And even though it looks choppy, this has still been bullish as well. Right? It's still bullish. It's still making higher highs and higher lows. Right? It's still doing its thing, higher high, higher low. Right? We just made a higher high. So I mean, I'm not saying price is gonna come all the way back down here. We don't know. Right? I don't really trade trend lines like that either. Right? But it does look like it's respecting certain zones. Right? If you look on a higher time frame on the monthly, we are we were inside of this monthly imbalance, right? This is a monthly imbalance. We see here that price recently just dipped into this monthly imbalance and now it's working its way out of there, right? We did just break above these highs as well. So once that happens, that lets us know that price wants to continue in a bullish direction, right? So once we broke above these highs, okay, I'm looking for the next buy setup, right? I'm looking for the next buy setup. And we actually got one a couple of days ago on the 1 hour time frame, right? We had one here, right? We had the lows, the highs, we swept the lows, and then we broke above, right? So that was the setup right in there, but we did break beneath these lows, right? We did break beneath the stop loss right in here, but on the higher time frames, if we're looking at that same wick, which is that imbalance, we're looking at that same wick. Technically, it was only a wick. On lower time frames, it was a full body candle, but on the higher time frames, it was just a wick. And if you've been here trading with us, you know it's not a true violation of the setup unless a full body candle closes beneath the wick, right? Since on the monthly time frame, it's only, it was down here, but since it's 21 days left, right? A lot can happen in 21 days. We don't know, right? But if as long as price stays above this previous low with a wick, then that means buys are still valid. If we close beneath these lows with the actual full body candle, then we can expect price to go lower. And at that point, I would just be looking for the next buy setup, right? Looking for the next setup just like this anywhere, right? Anywhere where it's gonna happen, right? But let's go back to the 1 hour time frame really quick, because this is what we've been putting in the chat, right? If you look closely here, if you look closely to where this all started, price was melting, right? It was melting, going crazy. And then we hit these lows, and then we hit these highs. And then we swept the lows, and then we broke above these highs right here with a full body candle, came back for the break and retest, and then price has not come back. It didn't come back for a while, right? It didn't come back for a while. And then it came back once, twice, and then took off for over 4,000 pips, right? 7% gains, right? Over 4,000 pips of movement has been collected, right? Just off that zone there. But for me to see more confirmation and have more confidence behind this move, yes, we got a change of character, back here somewhere, but I would also need to see this, right? A low, the high. We swept the lows, tapping into the monthly imbalance. And within that monthly imbalance, it gave us a 1 hour inverted buy setup. I need to see price break above these highs in order for me to have confidence that price wants to continue bullish. If not, then we can potentially, sell off, continue the sell off. Because technically this is a sell setup as well, right? Liquidity, build up, we swept the highs, we broke structure to the downside. So price comes back, we can continue. But me, I like to look at the overall picture. Yes, that's a sell setup, but it's also a counter trend trade because we know that this is an overall uptrending asset, right? All right, we're making higher highs, higher lows, higher highs, higher lows, higher highs. No matter how that higher low is created, as long as we stay above, these previous lows here, we're technically still making a higher low, which is adequate with an uptrend. So I'm not going to try to counter trend trade it and guess where it wants to flip and change. I'm just gonna, I'd rather wait and let the market sell off and then wait for a better buying opportunity to continue price moving in that uptrend direction, especially with Bitcoin. Right? Bitcoin is super volatile. We all know what happened in 2020, right? We all know what happened. That thing flew. That thing flew. Same thing with gold, right? Same thing with gold. Gold, again, like I like Bitcoin, gold, and NAS 100. To me, those are the top three things to trade, right? So I like those as well. And again, gold, bullish since forever, right? Gold has been up since gold was discovered, right? So again, I'm looking for straight buys, right? We broke above these all-time highs, right? We broke above these all-time highs, and it's just flying. It's flying. It's doing its thing. Right. Let me change this as well. Take these words off. Right. I'm not getting too much into the basics here. Right. I'm going more like most people on this call. I assume you have some type of knowledge, but if not, go ahead and ask me questions. I can get to the nitty gritty. I can break it down even more basic. But this is gold on the daily time frame. On the daily time frame, and we see that price was uptrending for a while, and then we had these lows here, and then we had the high, and then we swept those lows and we broke above right here with a full body candle, right? With the full body candle. Did I go over the dollar already? I did not. I'll do that right now as well, right after I finish gold. Got you, right? And once that happened, this was the setup. So I marked it up. I marked up the lows, the highs, and the stop loss. And as you see, price was consolidating for the past 2 months, right? Can you handle 2 months of consolidation, of ups and downs, uncertainty, right? Well, it's not really uncertain. If you trust the setup, as long as your stop loss, which is this red line, isn't hit, there's no reason to be uncertain or be scared. Just let your trade ride, right? And as we see here, price has been respecting the setup for a while. And again, I've sent all these out in the chats. Everyone has access to this. If you're in the NAS chat, I've been dropping charts like every day. If you click on the thread or just go to the pictures, you'll see every picture I sent, and you'll see price action forming every day. It's like a story, and it's just like wow, right? But if you were able to see in the chats the other day, I sent out this setup here where gold was, it was in the 4 hour zone, the low, the high. We swept the lows, broke above, and price has come back a couple times to the stop loss with wicks, but it never truly invalidated the setup because it was no full body candle, just wicks. So you were able to get back in, and price is flying right now off the 4 hour setup, which was discovered off of the entire daily zone, right? That stop loss that had all the wicks is right here, this red line, which is fine because the entry on the daily time frame is, right in there, right? So I expect this to continue. We just need to see more breaks of structure to the upside. But let's look at the dollar real quick. Let's see what's popping with the dollar. To be honest, I haven't marked up the dollar in I don't know how long, but let's see. Let's see what's going on. The dollar is just like, ugh, brother, ugh. It's nasty, right? It's nasty, right? It's just been making lower lows, right? Ever since the dollar was created, it was not designed to be bullish. It's just like it's just sitting here in this blob, right? But I do see here, for the smart money traders, we have the order block or the starting point right here. All right, this last buying candle before the sell off. So I'm going to go ahead and mark that up. And we see prices already mitigated that once, right? And on top of that, let's go down to smaller time frames. Let's break this down, right? We do have a potential sell set up here as well. We see here that price gave us these highs, the lows. We barely swept above the highs, right? And then we finally broke beneath the lows, right? And once we broke beneath right here, these lows, we did mitigate filling in this imbalance and then dropped tremendously, right? So this is still valid for sells, all this. And we see that price did come into the zone and sell off, and it tried to break structure to the downside, but it hasn't yet, right? So this can still be moving to the upside. We don't know. And it did give us a change of character back here, right? Price was selling off, doing its thing, making lower lows and lower highs. And there is an instance where I see where price was able to change character and switch to the upside. I'm just going to mark this up. Those are the lows. And then I will get into the current price action right now. This was the instance where price decided to go from bearish to bullish, right in there. Nasty, but it worked out. And if we're looking at current price, same thing happened here, right? We had consolidation, right? Lows, highs. We swept the lows right there. And then we recently just broke above the highs. So on a larger scale, once we broke above these highs here, that was more indication that price wants to go bullish, right? That was your change of character. And that's on the monthly. Let's go down to smaller time frames and see what's happening currently, right? And again, I just saw this right now. All right, we have another high or shoulder zone. We break above, and then we do break beneath these lows, So we're in between a buy setup and a sell setup, because not only do we have that sell setup there, we also have this here, right? You have a low point, the high. We sweep the lows and we do break above right here as well. So price is in a position where it can really go either direction, right? That's why I like to trade trending pairs, because it's easy to follow. It's going in one direction. But something like the dollar that's just been consolidating and it's heavily manipulated, anything can happen. But at the same time, you want to also follow structure. So for the buys, you want to be buying anywhere in the zone here, anywhere from where this change of character was all the way to the stop loss. You can be buying anywhere in there. And then as far as the sells, you know, this is going to be that shoulder zone right in there. This is going to be, it's funny how these lows correlate exactly with these highs, right? Very interesting. Very interesting. Right. And then the stop loss is going to be right up here. Huge, huge stop loss, huge zone. But as you see, we're inside two areas, right? A lot can happen here. And this is the weekly chart, right? This is the weekly chart. So it's going to take a while for whatever is unfolding to unfold, right? We don't know too much. All we can do is follow the structure. Right now, I'm on the daily chart and I see another setup as well, right? I see the lows here that were created, right? We had these lows and we had these highs, and then we barely swept the lows here, and then we did break above, and now we just came back for that test to continue higher possibly. Right. Good morning. Good morning. Mr. Manuel Gutierrez, how you doing, brother? How we feeling today? I know the market just opened 6:30 a.m. PST. What are y'all trading? What are y'all getting into? What y'all getting into? Let's go. Let's go. Sheesh. All right. But I hope you're having a blessed day. It's the middle of the week. It's Wednesday, July 10th, 6:30. The markets are just now opening, right? And of course, I'm not gonna get too deep into the NASDAQ, only because it's run over 900 pips. Like, I'm not gonna force a setup when people should have already been in. And there was another opportunity here as well that ran for another 700 pips. And on top of that, this trade was risky because it's like we're already so high. But let me just show you this really quick. Can y'all see the setup right here? Y'all see this? Y'all see this? We have this consolidation, right? Liquidity, right? We sweep all that, and then we break above. We come back with a wick. Gone. Gone. Simple. Simple and easy. No tricks. No down payment, no hidden fees. Nothing like that. Shorting NZD CAD, long E-Chain Holdings, ACB and YY. Are those stocks? Are those stocks? ACB and YY. Sounds like a stock. I like it. You said shorting NZD CAD. Let me see. What's up with NZD CAD? Do I have that on here? I'll find it. NZD CAD. Stocks. Perfect. And again, like this market structure works on any chart, any stock, any crypto. Okay. I see something here, right? I see something there. Let me check the line chart real quick. Oof. Oof. If you know, you know. What is this? What is this? The shoulder. We sweep it. We break above. Nasty. Nasty. All right, let's go to the monthly real quick. Can I mark this up right there? On the monthly, it's better. This looks good. All right, this looks good because again, we have price giving us these lows, and then we get the highs. We sweep the lows, right, and then we break above these highs eventually. So what I'm going to do, I like to mark up the overall structure before I go to smaller time frames. I need to know what's going on the larger time frames. It's called top down analysis, not down top analysis. You got to work from the top down, right? I used to work with like microscopes in the lab. You got to like see the whole organism. You got to see the whole cell first, and then you zoom into like what's happening. Same thing with biology. Same thing with the charts, right? So again, the lows, the highs, we sweep the lows. We finally break above these highs over here. So from this point, I'm only looking for buys, right? It doesn't make sense to, you know, do anything but that. At that point, see like a massive change of character over here. But again, this is the overall setup. So here I'm looking for, I'm gonna go to the weekly as well. I see it on the weekly again, right? I see the lows, right? The highs, we sweep it and we get this massive push to the upside, right? So that to me is a setup. I'm going to mark that up. Boom. Perfect, perfect. We got the highs right in there. Boom. Stop loss. Okay. We're getting somewhere. So for NZ, oh, you said you were shorting NZD CAD? Oh, snap. Maybe if you caught it like up here. If you caught it up here, cool. Because, you know, there's obviously some sell setups in there as well. But I would be careful. I'd be careful. Who knows how much this may drop? This can possibly drop wherever it wants to. But as far as the setup, I see the setup right there. Right? I see the setup right there. Right. I see another one here as well. Like if I really, let me take this off. Right. If you really look close here, there's another one. Right. We had the lows, the highs, we swept the lows, and we did break above. So this is it's also in another buy setup, and currently we're inside of this imbalance here that price could be reacting off of. So I would you know, back test a little bit for a few days. Okay, you've been shorting for a few days. It has been selling off, right? Definitely has been selling off, right? You definitely have been in blues making some money, 100%, right? Again, I'm not a financial advisor. You can do whatever you want. It's your money. I'm just giving you my perspective, right? I know everyone has a different way of looking at the markets, which is the beautiful thing about trading. But I do like to find like something that works for everybody, and that just makes sense as well. Because again, I'm teaching this to my kids when I have kids. I'm teaching this to everyone that I know, right? And I want to be able to explain it super simple. But yeah, if you are selling, if you were selling, you know, there were some sell setups over here, you know, that probably caused you to short the market as well. So yeah, do your thing. But for me personally, I believe that we can start possibly shifting as well. For me to have confidence in that, oh man. So yeah, Manny Gutierrez, this is gonna be your make it or break it right here. If price gives you a change of character above these highs, I will start looking for buys, right? Because again, we have the low here, we have the high. We just now swept these lows. If we break above with a full body candle, I would start looking for buys, right? If you get that change of character, I would start looking for buys right there. If you don't, then yeah, continue selling off, right? But this looks like it's ready to get cooked. We'll see though. We'll see. Got you. Got you. What else y'all looking at? What else y'all got cooking up for us? What's up with Bitcoin real quick? Let me see what's going on. Yeah, Bitcoin was a solid movement. I took like 90% off the table right here at the change of character. Still holding some positions. I want to see price break above these highs as well. Again, right? We got a smaller time frame confirmation, but I still need that higher time frame. Same thing as NZD CAD, right? I need that same thing to happen here. I need to break above these highs. If that happens, great. Once price does retrace back into the zone, I'll be looking for the next setup to continue the move higher, right? Because again, to me, this is an asset. To me, I'm not gonna jump the gun here, but to me, imagine this is all liquidity being built up, right? We just now swept the lows. Imagine this goes all the way up here, clears the highs, gives us the change of character, and then continues. That's why I was super excited to take the trade right here because it's inside of the monthly imbalance, right? If this monthly imbalance leads to us breaking above these highs, I'm here for it. I'm here for it. I would not mind that. I would not mind price, filling in this imbalance and just breaking above and then coming back for the retest and going crazy. I would not mind that whatsoever, right? I just wish there was like a live trade right now. Let me check out NAS real quick on the smaller time frames. Because I saw this last night too. I saw this liquidity being built up, right? And then we swept above and we did break below. So could have sold right there, counter trend traded, but it's like, man, it's just too risky. It's too risky to be doing that with NASDAQ. It's just too risky. I spent all of last year counter trend trading, and I made some money, but it was stressful. It's like, bro, like, why am I doing this to myself? Why not just follow the trend, fam? Like, why? Why am I making it so hard? It took me a year of getting clapped to like wake up, right? It may take other people a year of getting clapped to wake up as well. I mean, you're gonna make money too, of course, but it's like, bro, imagine you just held the buys. You would have got clapped a lot less, and you would have been a lot less stressed. But this is what I see for NAS right now. I know I just marked it up. I didn't say anything. But yeah, we had the lows, the highs. We swept the lows, and we broke above right in here. All right, so if price does come back, I like that. I like this setup. It's a huge setup though. It's like 70 pips. 70 pips. So it's up to you. Maybe do a test trade. So at least you're able to get in. Let's say if price comes back here and goes crazy, at least you got in. At least you got in there. Right. And of course, there's more setups. Like I see one here that price just reacted off of. I'm looking at this wick. I'm okay. After I see this wick, I'm gonna look left to get right. Right. What do I see over here? I know y'all see it. We have the liquidity build up. We sweep the lows. We break above the highs. So what do? You mark up those lows, the lowest low of those lows that were swept. And then you mark up the high, right? You can do the high right before the drop, or you can just mark up the high within that consolidation, right? Stop loss is the wick. And we see how price literally came into the zone. It did it twice already, right? Because once we broke above these highs, broke above the highs, we came back for that retest, took off. Came back again, almost stopped people out. Boom, went crazy. Your buy limit didn't put you in. Oh, where was your buy limit at? Was it this setup or was it somewhere else? Or like a different setup? I know different brokers have different structures, so that's why it's very important to mark up the same structure on like your phone or like your broker, because it may slightly differ, right? I'm not sure how it looks on other brokers, but yeah, I always mark it up on my MT5, my trade locker, and my trading view, and it can be a little bit different, but not too much. Like it's not going to be a huge difference, right? But yeah, this thing is flying, over 30 pips so far. If you got into that as well, right? Again, a lot of these trades, it's pretty high up, right? It's pretty high up. I was waiting for this. Hold on, let me do this real quick. All right, let's see. I was waiting for this to happen. Waiting for price to break above this. Only because we're so high, I want to see, like we have the consolidation, right? We made this high and then we swept the lows, right? Let me just mark it up differently. We had the low here and then we had the high, right? And then we swept the lows. Now I want to break above the highs here. And then when price comes back down, I'll be looking for another setup right in there to go higher. That's what I want to see. We might get that right now. Like this thing is going crazy right now. Sheesh. Looks super good. Let me fix this. Perfect. So this is a nasty move. Did the same thing happen on US 30? US 30 has not. US 30 is sleep. Like gosh. It's crazy work. This is the setup though. Here it is. This is the buy setup. It's been here for days consolidating. Consolidating in the zones. Right? This is a 4-hour setup or a 1-hour setup. Right? It's so choppy. It looks nasty. It looks nasty, but it still counts, right? We have the low, the high. We swept these lows and we broke above over here, and it's been consolidating ever since. But this zone is still valid, right? The zone is still valid, right? Even though it hasn't really like moved too much, it's still valid. So you got to be patient on this. I'm not sure when US 30 is gonna wake up. Who knows? But I like technology. I like tech stocks and stuff. I like NASDAQ. S&P is cool too, right? It's a slow mover, but it moves, right? It moves. Guarantee you it's probably a similar setup somewhere on here. Let's see. This looks nasty too. I don't know why the candles look like that. Yeah, I'm not gonna go lower than that. But yeah, there's more setups on this pair as well. It's been paying. If you trade it, if you back test and look how it's been moving, it's definitely been paying. Okay, let's see Bitcoin. Bitcoin is doing its thing as well. Not too worried about this. We'll see what happens though. If we break above, we already broke above these highs on the 1-hour and the 4-hour. So not too worried about that. I'm gonna let price do its thing, cool off, and it may continue. It may sell off. We don't know, right? But I just need price to break above these highs. If it doesn't, it is what it is. We'll keep the sell off, right? Boom. That can happen as well. But again, this is still bullish to me overall when you zoom out. So that's what I'm looking at. Nothing too crazy. All right, we have like 10 minutes left. You guys pick a chart or a stock. I'll go over it real quick. And shout out to y'all for being on the call. Hope you got some value. I know we weren't able to catch a live trade. We should have been able to. I was talking so much. Should have been like, yo, Will, look at NAS. It's in the buy zone. I see a setup. And then boom. Would have been on that. Would have been on that. But again, if you're new, keep this in your mind, engrave this in your brain. If you see something like this on the line chart or the bar chart, right? We sweep lows, we break above, right? Let me know, right? Mark it up. That's your zone. And then boom. Price comes back. You want to get in. Gone. We look for this every single time. Ooh, NAS is flying right now. All right, but I'm not too stressed about this because technically we should already be in the trade. Okay. Oh, it's good, Nadia. Glad to have you on there. CPI and PPI this week. CPI, PP. Oh my gosh, this thing is flying. This thing is flying. My goodness. Yeah, but you said USD MXN. I got you with the peso. Okay, you're taking us to Mexico. All right. When you're up, take us to Mexico. Oh sheesh. This is the peso. This is pretty solid. Looks pretty good. This is uptrending or downtrending. This is an uptrend for sure. It's crazy work, right? Higher highs, higher lows, higher highs, higher lows, higher highs, lower low. Oh, that's a change of character. Change of character. It's a change of character, but we're still uptrending overall. So as long as we don't break beneath, because like we have a high right here and then a low. As long as we don't break beneath these lows, we're still technically uptrending, right? If you break beneath these lows there, then yeah, you can go crazy, right? But we're still technically on an uptrend. So I would be looking for potential buys, right? I'd be looking for potential buys to continue this because this can be like the next low that takes us to the new highs, right? So when I zoom in on the lower time frames, let me see, dang, on the weekly didn't work out, or in the monthly. We need to break above this though. If we break above this, we're buying for sure, right? It tried with the wick, right? We had 2 wicks try, it didn't do it, didn't make it. Yeah, convention is coming up. I already got my ticket. I got my ticket like as soon as they dropped it. I'm going to Mexico, Monterrey. If you're in the squad, we'll see you in Monterrey, Mexico, November 3rd, I believe. I'll be there. But I mean, she's looking right here since the beginning of the year, right? If you go back 6 months or 7 months and 6 months or whatever, right? Price was bullish for the year. Then we broke beneath the lows. But I see the setup here, right? We had the consolidation, right? We had the sweep and then broke above. So that right there is a setup, right? I'm going to mark up the lows that were swept. I'm going to mark up the highs that we broke above, the stop loss right in there. Boom, boom. Right, your long position tool would have been from the change of character to the stop loss, under leverage if it's too big. And then when the 3, boom, that was your setup. So I hope you caught that trade. I hope you caught that trade. Super solid. Once we got to the area that we actually needed to break above, it did sell off perfectly fine. It may drop lower, right? It may respect another setup, right? There's probably some other setups down here it may respect and then continue higher with. I'm right now I'm looking left to get right to see if there's anything over here that we may like. Right, I see some setups down there. I don't want to get too technical in there, but it's over there. It's over there, right? If you want some confirmation, we got to break above these highs, right? We got to break above these highs currently, right? We have a low, the high, we swept it. We need that to continue, right? Maybe it consolidates again, gives us, boom. We need that. Something like that. If that happens, sure, I'm in there, right? I'm in there only because the move was missed, right? It was all the way back here. So if you didn't catch this, I wouldn't like FOMO in. I would just wait for another setup, right? But yeah, to me, when I zoom out at the peso, I like the buys. You're all right, ladies and gentlemen. Any more questions, comments, concerns? This is a pretty successful first stream, right? I'm going to be doing these calls every Wednesday, same time. And, of course, as we get more, audience, we get more traction, things like that, I may increase the number of calls throughout the week, maybe Tuesdays and Wednesdays. And then, if that escalates, then, maybe, every day, right? I used to do these calls every day, Monday through Friday, right? But, supply and demand, just like the charts, right? If you demand it, I'll supply it, right? And I'm not talking about the other stuff, but yeah, I hope you'll have a blessed day. Again, it's only Wednesday, July 10th. The year is flying by. So I hope you guys are staying focused. I hope you guys have your goals written down. I hope you're doing affirmations in the mirror. I hope you're working out, doing your push-ups, drinking water, staying blessed, staying hydrated, staying happy. But without further ado, I'll see y'all in the future.